Whenever you're dealing with cataracts, what you are dealing with is mucus inside of the eyes. Usually the mucus is built up on the optic nerve, which is behind the eye right up in here, or is right on the iris. But notice what you're dealing with. You're dealing with a buildup and accumulation and a coagulation of mucus. Well, where did the mucus actually come from? The mucus is coming from your body trying to get rid of acidosis. The mucus is coming from your body trying to get rid of all the acidic waste and byproducts that your body is not eliminating because your kidneys are backed up and your kidneys are not filtrating and you're not urinating all this uric acid, urea, and all of these byproducts of the metabolitic waste that the body's been ingesting and going through. So in order to get rid of mucus, you have to drain the brain's glymphatic system. So every brain have a glymphatic system. So if you actually look at this autonomy structure right here, the moment, oh snap, I just dropped it. The moment that you go up, so from the body on up, you're dealing with something called the lymphatic system, right? And the lymphatic system deals with two major things. You know, when you deal with the left side of the body, you're dealing with the lymphatic, duct, the main lymphatic duct. Then when you're dealing with the actual left side of the body, the right side of the body, you're dealing with the aorta ducts, and then you're dealing with how the lymphatic is connected to something called the vena cava. And this is the vena cava right here. This blue line right here is what you call the venous cava. The lymphatic system actually starts right here, and it starts as a trunk. They call it lymph trunks, and then it spreads and it's made off the blood or the circulatory system. The lymphatic system was truly made to cleanse the blood because the blood is the kitchen, and that's what feeds the cells of the body all the phytonutrients and all of its food. Well, anytime something goes through a metabolic product or process, it produces waste. And then this waste have to be picked up by the sewage system, not the kitchen, because you ain't finna poop in your refrigerator and you damn sure ain't finna poop on your plate. So that's why you have two systems. You have the kitchen, which feeds the cells of the body. Then you have the lymphatic system, which cleanses the cells of the body. Then you have the nervous system that commands or that speaks and communicates with the cells of the body. Well, just 10 years ago, they finally found a system inside the brain because they swore up and down that there wasn't a sewage system or a cleansing mechanism to cleanse the brain. And they was blaming this, reason why we have so much Alzheimer's disease, the reason why we have dementia and so much, cerebral palsy and all these other different diseases, because they claimed that there wasn't a system to cleanse the brain. Well, what happens is what feeds your brain and gives all the brain nutrients is actually something called cerebrospinal fluid. And that's this water-like substance you see actually casing the brain right here. This is cerebrospinal fluid. Well, inside of this cerebrospinal fluid, you have all different types of simple amino acid structures. You got sugars, you have carbons, you even have a lot of certain things that you will see inside of the lymphatic system. T cells, B cells, lymphocytes, phagocytes. All these different things that you will see inside of different systems. Now it's a certain protein that actually gets accumulated in the brain, and it is called amyloid. It's an amyloid. It's a byproduct protein. I'm too close.
You're too close. Can see your face.
I ain't worried about my face. I'm trying to teach. And it's a byproduct called amyloid. And this amyloid byproduct of a protein actually turns into acids and starts burning the brain or the cells of the brain. Well, what they noticed when they started studying this stuff, they noticed it was channels in the brain that started cleansing this protein. And they said, we never seen these channels before. And how they did these channels is they ejected some type of luminescent liquid inside of the brain cavity, and they watched cerebrospinal fluid, and they watched how this protein goes and how it goes through its metabolic process and how it starts to drain. Now tell me why the process is all of the byproducts first drained into the cavities, and then after it drained into the cavities, it then drained from the cavities lymphatic vessels down to the tonsils, showing you that your tonsils are majorly important, because the tonsils are big ass lymph nodes, and that's how you drain the brain. You see that? So if you want to actually clear up cataracts, which is nothing but acids and mucus built up inside of the iris, the first thing you have to do is start cleansing the colon, because the transverse colon is where it is all of that different mucus and just where all of the lymphatic gut tissues, gut associated tissues at. Once you open up this pathway and you can start draining this colon, then you can start literally draining the tonsils, unless you got your tonsils removed. And the best way to drain your tonsils and to just drain your lymphatic system, period, and soothe your mucosa membrane is getting on an all fruit diet. You know, alkalining and hydrating the body. You know, the body is already have so many acidic different components to it, as I was telling y'all, which is your deoxynucleic acid, your ribose nucleic acid, the hydronucleic acid, lactic acid from walking, breathing, speaking, talking, carbonic acid from eating your fruits and eating your gnarly grains that you're not supposed to be eating, phytic acid for eating your chickpeas and the rest of your peas and legumes and beans. You see that uric acid and urea acid for eating all of these meats that you're not supposed to be eating. So all of this stuff, this accumulating the acids needs somewhere to go. And the first thing that it's going to do is start sitting in this river of fluids that the cells sit on that's called the interstitial fluids. And the interstitial fluids is connected to the lymphatic system. So in order for you to drain the brain, you must drain the transverse colon. Once you start draining that transverse colon and these kidneys open up and the neurons start filtering and processing all that lymph and metabolic waste and toxic cellular waste that's built up, notice your nose will start running. Your eyes will start running. You'll start seeing mucus and earwax in your ears. You'll start coughing and coughing up all type of mucus because now the draining process have begun and you can actually start emptying the sinus cavity, and then the rest of the stuff will start draining through the tonsils. And then the tonsils look just like this. Inside the tonsils, because the tonsils are nothing but lymph nodes. That's all it is. The tonsils is nothing but lymph nodes. And inside these tonsils, notice the blood that's in here. Notice you got the vena cava veins, or what they call the veins, the blue ones, and you got the aortas, what they call the veins or the arteries that bring oxygen to the cells of the body. But notice what you see, all these green little spaces and blue spaces. This actually looks like macrophages and bacteria and stuff like that. And the reason why you have all these bacteria and macrophages inside of the lymph node is because they are created for one specific job and one specific job only. And I'm talking about macrophages. You have trillions and trillions of bacteria, or what you call the microbiota inside of the body. Each of them have a specific duty and job to play. Well, the bacteria inside the lymph nodes called macrophages, a biobifidum bacteria, have a specific duty and job, and that is to eat acids. That's all they do. Let me show you how beautiful Yahweh is and how amazing he is. He knew that the body was built on acidic principles. He knew that the cells and the DNA, that the very information on how it stay in the body is due to acidic principles. So he said, I need something to counterbalance all of that acidic processes in the body, all these acidic functionings, all these acidic metabolic waste. So he created the body with 150 trillion cells, and 50 trillion of them cells, and 100 trillion of them cells are made up of bacteria. And out of the 100 trillion of them cells, about 50 trillion of them cells are made up of good biobifidum bacteria and just lactobacillus bacteria and macrophages. And these things are made to chew and eat acids all day. So the body is going to stay in its balance. The body is going to stay in its good judgment. The body is going to stay in ma'at as long as you're not violating nature and you're not going against nature. So if you want to get rid of cataracts, get some eye bright. Eye bright is one of the hardest herbs to find right now. Am I lying, Kawhi?
Not at all.
I mean, literally, we've been searching heavens, hell, hot water, outer space, inner space, everywhere looking for eye bright. But, everybody been buying it up. So if you can find some eye bright or make you an eye bright tincture, which we are making them now, cleanse your eyes out with eye bright. And what the eye bright would do is it'll start pulling and pulling and pulling on the optic lobe and pulling all of them cataracts and all of that. Basically, it's nothing but crystallized uric acid and mucus that's in the eyes. It'll start breaking up all of that agglomulation and pulling it out of his eyes. Not only that, you need to cleanse the gut, the transverse colon. If you want to cleanse the transverse colon yourself, get you some Cascara Grande. Get you some slippery ambark, some things like that. Get you some turkey rhubarb and mix them up in equal parts and start drinking tea, or grind them up, put them in some capsules or some powder and start taking that down, so you can start eliminating all the poop and the plaque and all the toxic waste that you got built up in the transverse colon. Because if you don't drain if you don't drain the colon, which is basically the starting of the trunk of the body, then you're not going to be able to get rid of the stuff that's in the head, because all of this is come tumbling down. The midsection or the mesosection of your body is the true command center.